Hello and welcome to the Slow the Fuck Down podcast with Glow London and The Drum. I'm Emma Harris, Chief of Glow London and founder of the Slow the Fuck Down movement. In May 22, I had a completely out of the blue cardiac arrest and beat odds of 96-4, surviving unscathed. Since then, I've been committed to sharing the perspective I'm now blessed with, that many of us are wasting the precious time we have on this planet with unsustainable pace and stress. In each episode, I'll welcome some fabulous guests onto the show to share their stories of how slowing down or not has affected their lives, their teams, and their businesses. Let's get started. Welcome to the Slow the Fuck Down podcast. I'm your host, Emma Harris, and today I'm joined by Sabah Naqushbandi and Zoe Eagle. Sabah is the MD of The Outnet, former CMO for Mr. Porter. She is redefining the future of modern luxury, making it smarter, more inclusive, more connected and culturally live. She is also a marketing legend, on the board of the Marketing Society, a fellow of the Marketing Academy, has had client-side roles in a lot of different industries, all the cool ones actually, music, beauty, and obviously now fashion. And joining Sabah today is Zoe Eagle. On the opposing side, all agencies. Zoe, currently the CEO of Iris London, but has literally been at Accenture Song, BBH, Creature, DLKW Low. So a big track record in agency side. And Zoe, and I can vouch for this, leads with care and creativity, known for championing bold creativity, effective work, and building high-performing teams. Welcome, Sabah and Zoe. And we have been chatting for the last hour, and this is going to be quite fun. If we were recording that, we might edit some of those highlights back in, but not with our husbands listening. So let's start by I always ask the same question. The world is kind of crazy right now. How do you think we've got here? Why are things so frantic and so mad? Zoe, can I ask you first?
You can. So I am going to put it down to, because I've been thinking about this, because we were speaking about it before. I think it's human nature and technology in combination, how they're coming together right now, has created quite a unique situation for us all that is creating basically this burnout. So I think on the one hand, technology makes us accessible all of the time. And then the devices are so well designed that actually we're sort of physiologically pulled into them. So you've got this thing that's on you the whole time that people can reach you whenever they want, and you are quite prone to sort of go for it. So that is already creating a lots of things to be done, connecting with each other all the time thing. Then you've also got, and this is also technology, everything that social media is doing around sort of false ideals. And so, and we scroll social media in our free time, essentially just building these professional and personal sort of lists of things that we should be doing, of work to be done. So it's quite a sort of powerful thing that we've got going on. And I don't think that society yet has worked out how to contain and control this. But I think that is the next stage of development of technology. I think that what we're seeing with agentic AI is maybe the beginnings of us starting to be able to deal with this dynamic that's happened to us. But I think we're living through something that is quite unique and actually really, really points the human race at overwhelm.
You're making me think there's a sort of Instagram post, which is it, and it's the words are me trying to bring up my children, drink collagen, do the shopping, get to work, run 10,000 steps, and it's just a dog chasing its tail, this idiotic dog just running around in circles. And it's so true. We're just constantly bombarded with, oh shit, I haven't checked my steps and taken all my peptides or whatever it is.
It's a bit mad, and it's work, but it's everything else as well. It's being a daughter and being a parent and being a friend. All of it is just, I should be doing more, I should be doing more. And so work's only half the problem, if you ask me.
I agree. I think it's the book 3,000 Weeks. He talks about there's 1,000 people behind your phone. That's how you've got to look
Oh
at
my
it,
God.
keeping you
God,
on
that's
it.
terrifying.
Isn't it terrifying?
Yeah, they're
just
pulling
think,
you in.
They're pulling you in. They're
Yeah.
pulling you in. Or she clicked on that thing. Let's show. I mean, that's how the algorithm works, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Which is why my feed is full of stuff about peptides and menopause and dogs. Sabah, what do you think we've got here?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and I think technology obviously it's got its benefits, but it's made everybody go into this hyper productive mode. And I was actually just thinking, I actually created a super Sabah GBT with different modes for your life, your work, your like energy. Like the context is, I think everyone is like feeling that they have to optimize.
Yeah.
And I think, the scary thing is, like, I feel if people are constantly optimizing and they're constantly also getting their identities kind of refracted back at them, they're seeking validation, they're getting the feedback loops, they're having all those performance metrics. You are in this kind of matrix where I think it really feeds the ego, and you can get quite dissociated from yourself. And I think I think society right now, it's all about being independent, personal happiness, and I feel that sometimes we with these kind of crazy technological advances, we also lose this grounding of ourselves. And I think that's the challenge. A lot of these historical structures, community, shared values, thinking about other people, connections, like these things are maybe less present in the same ways that they were historically. And I think that's where you've got a bit of this crisis going on. Yeah.
It's so interesting you say that. Like, I was talking to my leadership team yesterday, and we were talking about this issue, actually, just the issue of it's just a lot all the time, isn't it? And actually, the only way that we could think of together to deal with it is that anchoring thing, where you just sort of go, hang on a minute, everything's changing, politically, society, economically, like all of it. Our category is obviously in rapid transformation. But that kind of anchoring into people and things that are true and, things that hold sort of across these changes, really, it's the only thing that you can do to get back to yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll be a bit contentious. Sometimes I don't think speed is the issue. I think it's people not having direction.
Yeah.
And actually, like, this alignment piece, or kind of really truly understanding what direction you're going. That's the bit that I think people, they're just running around like headless chickens trying to optimize, be more productive, but they're not in touch with themselves sometimes. They're not in touch with actually what's important, and they're just spinning lots of plates.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, thank you, because that's what we're constantly telling our clients. That's what we've got to do. Because I think it's not the speed's the problem, but speed creates that. So because when everyone's running, people don't realise they're running in slightly different directions, and they're not pausing to go, what actually are we doing? Where are we headed? How do we make sure we all line up and face the same direction and connect with each other? And we're, because when everyone's just running, you've got great leaders, but they're all slightly running on their own agenda. And it's exactly that. It's the speed of that means they're not doing it. And personally, because you're in speed isn't the problem. But if you're racing, you're forgetting to go, what is important? What is important? Oh, I've forgotten to make sure I'm prioritising me. I'm prioritising my kids, or prioritising the people I love, or, make time for the things that are important. It's so true. And how are you both doing in this madness? I mean, you both look fabulous. How are you doing, Zoe?
So I would say that I am good, but stressed. And I think I've been like that for a long time. I'm someone that always, and the way that I alleviate stress is that I have fun. And so I really, really believe in the idea that you need to enjoy your job, you need to laugh a lot, you need to surround yourself with people that sort of bring you joy, because we are living through continual stress, actually. And so you've got to figure out a way of kind of handling that. And so yeah, I would say stressed, but okay. But what I would say is that I really actively manage stress it's like a huge workflow in its own right. And it's something that I started doing when I stepped into leadership roles. I would say that before that, everything as a practitioner, I was a client practitioner for a really long time, and everything was quite smooth sailing, actually. Like the industry possibly hadn't transformed as much as it had now. And everything was sort of build and kind of easy. Then when you get into a leadership position, the pressure is so much, especially as a CEO, you carry all of that pressure pretty much on your own. Nobody, I think, ever expects the emotional pressure of all of the people that work with you. And there's a lot of stress there, and you have to take steps, I think, and accept that you need a support system to be able to deal with it. And it's something that you have to sort of be proactive about. And it took me a minute to kind of come to terms with that, because I felt like it was a bit diva-ish to sort of turn around and go, actually, no, I need these people and I need these things and I need this time. But you've got to do it, or you're just kind of good for nothing, really.
It's really, I love that. Use it as a workflow too, because there's probably a part of you that needs the stress to create the energy. But it's just, when I first met Zoe, it was in this building actually, in the drum, and we started talking about life, and you were and I said, oh my God, can you stay for my keynote? Because I was closing, it was the Drum Predictions event, and I said, stay for my keynote, you might get some stuff out of that.
You just maybe need that.
Yes. So yeah, it's the balance. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Sarah, how are you doing?
It's a good question. I think on the surface, there's a lot of change that's happening in my life right now. So if I think about the last few months, finalized a divorce, moved house, had an operation, going through a company sale. So on the outside, that's kind of a lot to manage. But I have to say, surprisingly well. And I think that's, I've had a number of lessons over the last few years, which I'm sure we'll talk about, where I think I have, fully accepted, sometimes, you have to let go. And I feel I'm really in flow. So I kind of joke with my friends, actually. There's that really vivid scene in The Matrix where you're getting sprayed with bullets. And I really feel right now I'm in that back bend, and I'm just dancing through them. And this point that you made about play,
so cool.
The point you made about play, I have a soundtrack even in my head as I think about going through the stressful times, because I do exactly that. When it's more stressful, I double down on play. We were talking about dancing and all sorts earlier, but it's exactly that. So right now I'm in that, mental state of bullets coming at me, but I'm dancing through it.
I have to say, I haven't known you that long, but in the time I've known you, you've been through a lot already. And I feel like you are somebody that is exactly how I would describe you, and always doing it with a smile. And it is really commendable. What is your soundtrack? Can we hear that?
The soundtrack for this year, it's got a theme, and it's Paris 1985. It was different last year, but think about effortless, cool, so totally unbothered, but that 80s synth sound. But it's if you look up Paris 1985,
looking it up. Love it.
I think it's nervous system management though as well. Kind of, it's something that I've really learned, and I have therapy, that's one of my things, but just that thing of I feel really stressed, and then you put a song on that you love, and the situation has not changed. You've just listened to a song that you love, but you feel all right, or you go for a run, and that just changes your biology or whatever it is, to the extent that you've essentially alleviated the symptoms. I think stress very often is a set of symptoms, and actually the symptoms can be managed away. You know what I mean? It's not purely relative to the situation that you're in. There's the sort of world around you and what's happening, and then there's how you are dealing with it, and they're two separate things. And I think that if you can sort of really focus in on your experience of it and learn how to manage yourself, then actually you can sort of play, have fun, even in quite difficult times.
I completely agree. I actually think, and I think this is radical when you actually, if you think about it, stress and pressure, they're absurd.
Yeah.
They're literally...
They're so unhelpful.
They're caves you create yourself.
Yeah.
You're literally putting yourself in caves. So when you actually realise that, and you're like, hang on a second, this is if it's helping you to be kind of a higher performer, or it's driving you to push through things to kind of like to be better in terms of your performance, great. If it's a positive thing, because it's your survival instinct kicking in. But if it's actually doing that thing where it's constraining you, like it's completely ludicrous. So actually, I whenever I feel kind of stressed, I almost pause and I think this is the whole concept of illusional control. I think this sounds really depressing, but the only thing that you know in this life that's certain is you're going to die. When you realize that, and you realize actually change is part of the human condition, loss it's like loss also is normal. People could see that as bleak. I don't see that bleak in any way. What it makes you realize is that every moment is precious. You're never more beautiful than you are now. Everything is you're grateful for everything. And I think we sometimes forget that this is part of life. It's not all kind of happy dappy clappy.
Yeah.
Actually, it's change is the only constant. And once you realize that, you just you learn to surrender, and you just appreciate everything while you have it. Yeah.
And there is a choice involved, and I'm always nervous to say this too much, because I'm not negating the struggles people have with their mental health, and it is not always easy to get you out of that stress or that pressure. But even like you say, just listening to music, or like I get my little boy when he's stuck in when he's unable to regulate, just saying the word yes out loud. And I make him say it louder and louder and louder and louder. And then I put my hands up and make him punch my hands, and then we're jumping around, and then it feels okay. And there are things that you can do. It's that metacognitive moment where you realize that what's happening, the reason you're stressed, is because of what's going on in your head, and that you're imagining catastrophe that isn't real, or you're focusing on the negative, not gratitude, all those things that in any moment, there are so many moments of choice. And it's just about trying. This is what slow the fuck down is. It's like, it's not give it all up and sit on a mountain, but it's just recognize how you're choosing to respond, how you're choosing to feel in that moment. Because if the pressure is helping, great. But if it isn't, actually, what's going on here? I'm imagining it all going to shit. Oh, well, it isn't right now. And I'm just going to choose to, stick some great music on and jump around. It's so true. Has there been a time, well, I know the answer to this actually, but Zoe, I'm going to ask you first. Has there been a time you can think of where you really didn't look after yourself, and things went a bit pear-shaped?
I mean, yes, loads is what I was saying. So that's probably happened to me loads of times. Like, definitely, well, I was saying actually, wasn't I, that earlier in my career, everything was kind of smooth sailing. But back when it wasn't okay to, have burnout or whatever, there was something that I always did that my mum used to always comment on, which is that I would sort of work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, be ill for a week.
Yeah.
And I think probably was actually, I think that was burnout. I think that's what was actually going on with me.
True. Christmas.
People always get ill on holiday or at Christmas, don't they? Like every time.
Yeah.
And so I would say that, so I would say that in many ways, it's that kind of habit and that rhythm that I have been trying to kind of fight against. I think the toughest times are when something happens that you don't have the tools and resources to deal with. And I think at this point in life, we've all had something like that happen. Mine was that my mum, you mentioned mental health, my mum has very, very serious mental health issues, and she had a huge mental health collapse that was awful, out of nowhere a couple of years ago. And it's still a taboo topic, mental health, and we, the NHS, it does it, obviously it's wonderful and does its best, but we don't really have the expertise or resources to deal with mental health well. And I was just completely out of my depth, and you're like, every toolkit that I've ever used is just defunct at this point. Like, I don't know what to do. And so I did this weird thing where I just kept getting up and going to work and turning up at work. And people were like, no, this really, really awful thing has just happened to you. Can you please go home? And it took me a week to just accept that I shouldn't be there. So then I shoved all my meetings into one day of the week, and then just spent like 4 days like walking around fields and was, just trying to understand what was going on. But I think that I don't know that I ever it wasn't until until I finished that job and had some gardening leave, I'm not sure that I really recovered until then, because I just kept trying to flip back into routine, just keep going, and and these sorts of illnesses are drawn out, and they have lots of ups and downs and all the rest of it, so it's kind of with you the whole way. But yeah, I don't know that I never fully dropped, but I definitely was not myself. And it took, I think I had 2 months off work, and it was gardening leave. So I just had the opportunity to put myself back together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the big one that I would reference. But yeah, I battle it all the time, to be honest. I mean, like you'd manage it, but you do, it's that thing of going, there's a lot. You've got to keep it ordered.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
And I would ask that maybe in your head, battling just sounds so kind of it's managing, work flowing, because you're right that it's leaning into your choice, because and letting go of it. I suppose let them, isn't it? Letting go of recognizing and accepting the playing conditions we're in.
And I love
just
that.
Saying, right, this is where we're at, and actually in this moment I'm going to allow that, but in this moment I'm not going to allow that.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Sabah, I know you've had lots of challenges with your health.
I mean, I think everyone gets their bag of shit. We always talk about this. It gets dolloped out in different ways, and I would say that mine happened in the biggest way. It was a few years back. Mum of 2 young kids, 2 babies under 2. I had obviously a demanding job. There was always the house renovation project, all of the things happening in life. And on the outside, actually, ironically, everything looked rosy. Everything, your career's going well, look like the perfect couple, all of these things. And the reality is, I was pushing through a lot. And life was very intense, and I was just in this mode of just being productive, spinning plates, trying to optimize, trying to be, perfect in every aspect. And my body was screaming to tell me stop. And I remember actually the crazy thing about it was not being conscious of it. And one of the things that I did was I was like, I need to be even more productive and optimize even more. And so I remember actually, doing God knows how many self-development courses, running 5K every day, doing 50 press-ups a day. And in the end, as they always say, the body knows the score. And my body stopped me. And it was a colossal, I say, biblical scale, fall from grace. I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. So it had been in me for a very long time. And I look back and I think I was physically dying probably for over a year, doing everything and continuing, and totally not in touch as well with the reality of what was happening to me, because there were definitely symptoms, and I was just ignoring it and racing through brick walls. And sadly, as is the case with most things, your health is a reflection of other areas in your life. And I think the same was true in my marriage, which, was very difficult, and where, you're positively reframing a lot. And I had to learn the very hard way there as well. So everything in this space of a couple of years, I basically lost everything. I lost everything that defined me as Sabah. So, how you're defined by your job, how you're defined by your family, how you're defined by your how you look, how you're defined by your energy. My energy was a big thing. My chemical makeup changed because I was put on all these drugs. And when you go through an experience like that, I kind of describe it like it's stripping back the onion, and you're literally like taking out every layer of what you thought defined you as you. And you have to go through a very humbling process of understanding actually who are you when you take off those layers, and what do you want from life. And it was through an implosion of my reality multiple times in the course of a very few intense years that I learned a huge amount. Actually, I learned that I know very, very little about myself. And actually, I think a lot of people, especially, corporate like types like us, that are type A, we're so kind of, optimizing lots of areas of our life. I had thought I'd done a lot of work, and I actually realize right now I know so little about myself, and actually I'm on this journey of getting to know myself more. And when you really look inside, I think the thing that you realize is, like, I look back at everything that happened to me, and I will honestly say I'm grateful for it, because I live so much more intentionally now. I never used to be present. I'm completely in the present. And I always wonder, I say, like, did I need to suffer? Like, did I really have to go through that pain to get to this point? Because it's this human nature. You have to sometimes, grow wings, and it's painful, and, to fly, you need to do that. And I really sometimes think, gosh, I wish it's a bit what you're doing with this podcast. You're telling people, you don't have to go through the pain and the suffering. Like, learn from these experiences. But sometimes I feel like, would I have got there if I hadn't gone through that? I had to go through a lot, but I'm very grateful for where it's landed me.
It's a really good point. A lot of people ask me that. Do you think you would have changed if you hadn't? I mean, it's impossible to say, right? And one creates the other. Our bodies did it for us. So I don't know, does it matter actually whether you would have got here or not? Because you are where you are, and we are both blessed. We are both still alive. We're both still, doing the work, and that's what it's about. But yeah, the idea of this is to say to people, you don't have to get to where we got to. If you are, some of the things, you didn't recognize, you didn't pay attention to your body. If you're not well, get it checked out. If there are signs, if you're overly fatigued, if you're not coping well, get help. Don't get to the stage we got to. But yeah, who knows? We did, and it's a blessing. But yeah, thank you. I know. Thank you for sharing that. Whew, big breath.
Yeah.
Zoe,
I'm a bit floored.
I
by
know,
that. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I did think, should we tell you the story before we do the podcast?
No,
But I think seeing that reaction
I feel like I
is,
wanna cry.
I know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And when I first met Sabah, she just told me that whole story. I was like, wow, this is what I mean. Always with a smile. Always with a smile. Just unbelievable. You are a real inspiration.
Amazing.
So thank you for sharing that. Zoe, leadership.
Okay.
So running an incredibly, I've spent time in your agency. The energy is amazing. The way you are, you talked about your team earlier, and really connects with your team. How do you keep the momentum going without killing them? Because I see how well you look after them. How do you do that?
So I'll say the fun thing again. I think it's really important. I think I do this thing where I'm like, it's important for me. Is it important for all of you? But I'm like, we'll do it anyway. But it's important. But I think probably the biggest thing is you have to be in it together. Like, I think there's a lot of kind of back and forth at the moment about work-life balance and what work should be like and how much we should and shouldn't work. And I think that working in an agency has never not been really hard work. And I think the thing is that if you aren't emotionally involved, you're not doing it right. That's the thing. You have to be emotionally involved. You have to care if you lose a pitch. You have to care if the work's not what you were hoping. You have to care if the work's the best thing you've ever made. And so not only is it sort of physically quite demanding, it's really emotionally demanding as well. And I think the only real sort of answer to it, and it's how agencies have worked presumably since day dot, is that you're in it together.
Yeah.
Is that you've got each other's backs, you win together, you lose together. I think most agencies, and this is certainly true at Iris, don't have blame cultures. You can't remember who did it and you don't care. You know what I mean? It is just a sort of everybody's in it together all the time. Everything's a collective effort. I think that's what makes agencies really nice places to work, actually, is that you're sort of bled dry, but you're having a brilliant time while you're doing it. And you make your friends for life, and loads of people meet their partners at agencies and all that kind of stuff. And you have these incredible life experiences. And so yeah, but I think it is about togetherness. I think it is.
I completely agree. It is not like that in all agencies, Zoe.
Oh,
so
well.
you've either had some great experiences or you're creating it yourself. But trust me, it's not like that in all agencies. So that lack of blame is that trust thing is so key to high performance.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this before. And also I agree with you, whether you're agency or client side or in any business, if you're an accountant, leadership is emotional.
Yeah.
And leaders
absolutely.
that don't think it is, you're building a family, you're working with humans. So it's all about the people.
And feelings, and people feeling sort of capable and motivated and all in, and that's something you've got to really respect. You know what I mean? Like you've got to kind of, it's a value exchange, isn't it? They're putting their emotions in, they've got to get something positive out of it.
Yeah, one of the keys to motivations is connectedness, and if you don't create that connection, then you won't get the same productivity, engagement, retention. All of it is so important. And Sabah, you're in the fashion world, which is incredibly fast moving, and you've been there for quite a while. Tell us how you stop yourself from getting up in the sort of hype, and how one of the things we talk a lot to leaders about is you've got to look across the meadow, can't be in the weeds. How do you, in the fashion world, keep ahead, stay ahead, keep your teams long-term, not in the weeds?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, on the business side, I think, everyone's got the pressure of short term, but when you're thinking about sustainable business growth, it always comes back to long-term value creation, which goes back to the brand, which goes back to the customer. So looking at brand health, customer as well, but specifically at the outnet as well. I think, we've never been about chasing fast fashion and fads and just the kind of one-off trends. It's always about thinking about seasonless style and having a much more, I guess, deeply intentional relationship with your clothes. So we think that smart luxury is actually the future of luxury, because value and luxury are not mutually exclusive. And actually, when you think about buying clothes, you're not just wanting kind of to wear them once. I actually think they're like a little bit like friends and relationships, like what we've talked about.
Yeah.
You want to have like a kind of a relationship with your clothes. You want to be able to have your wardrobe that you kind of can think about in a bit more of a longer term view as well. And so I think that really plays quite well to the business philosophy, the brand philosophy. And I think, it goes back to that point about relationships, doesn't it? Every business is relationships. It's relationships with your customers. It's relationships with your brand partners, and most of all, it's relationship with your teams, right? They're the best brand advocates, and I think that's why everything needs to be sustainable in all senses of the word.
So yeah, I love it. I was just thinking, God, first of all, I want to get on there and buy some things.
I know, me too.
I know, literally, whenever I'm with you, I'm literally like,
I want to have a relationship with my clothes.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
And do you know what?
It's about spreading joy as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And because, just behind the curtain here, because we've got a very dark background, one of the things we always tell people, as you both know, is wear colour. So I'm constantly having to find, I wear black. So I'm investing in colours at the moment and finding new things to wear, which is quite exciting.
Can I say, so the outnet's mission is all about spreading joy, right? So I say, what a privilege to work in a business where my job is purely to spread joy.
Love that.
Amazing.
So I feel my purpose is very aligned also with the brand mission.
Yeah.
And so,
love it. I actually plan my wardrobe for the week. I think I've probably talked about this on the podcast before, but I do a thing on a Sunday where I plan the week, what I want to achieve every day, when I'm going to exercise. So literally put some of the things like I'm overshowing, but like I do my New York Times puzzles and I put that in, and when I'm going to, whether I'm going to do yoga or I'm going to treadmill or whatever, and what I'm going to wear.
Yeah.
And I check the weather and think about if I'm here, what I've got to wear a colour. I love it. And then it's like having a stylist, because I forget, because I'm menopausal, and I open my phone on my notes page. Oh, that's genius. I said I'd wear that today. It is. It's like having a stylist for yourself. So, Zoe, you've talked before about the immense change that our industry is in at the moment. Client demands, I mean, we've talked about this, more challenged than ever. Everyone wants everything yesterday. How do you manage that without losing your mind and stressing the team out?
So I think that so it is quite stressful, like genuinely. Like I don't know whether people felt like this when the internet first came out or when telly first started to really be important.
Yeah.
But the level of sort of change, and it's accelerated, you know, there's a lot changing. And I think we're in a situation where very often our clients don't really know what to do next. And so they're in a state of uncertainty and they are scared, frankly, and we're sort of going where we're freer. We tend to be freer as agencies than sort of corporate organizations are, so we've got more freedom to explore. But we're also going, well, there's a myriad of options, and what's the commercial model, and actually, like, what, you know, what is your legal, like, what are your liabilities, like, you know, all of this stuff. And so I would say again that the sort of fundamental sort of rule of survival is the relationship. So it is having trust that you're sort of navigating it together. But I think it's really tough at the moment. Like, I really do. And I think that the thing that probably that we've not really talked about actually, but is the impact of virtual working and the total virtual working of the pandemic, what that's done to kind of work essentially. And I think it can be more difficult to make time for relationship building. And I think clients find it hard to make time to build relationships with their agencies, and then agencies find that hard as well. And so the answer is to have strong relationships. But how do you have strong relationships? Well, you know, that is really just, it's lots of work. It's sort of remembering, put that time in, spend that time together, get there face to face, you know.
100%.
But I think really it's that partnership that sort of sees you through it. But also there is a thing with the agency client dynamic that I think is just sort of true, which is that as the agency, if the client is behaving in a way that is punishing towards the agency, something punishing is happening to the client. And so the best client agency relationships are the ones where you manage to get to the point where with your client, you're not saying, oh God, what do you need me to do next?
Yeah.
But you're going, if you've got a problem, call me.
Yeah.
You know, I am the person that will get you the data that you
100%.
need,
Yeah.
that will move space-time to get whatever it is to work. Or if you just need to have a cry, call me. Like, because I don't work in the organization, nobody will ever know. I can be that objective person. And I think where things get difficult between client and agencies is very often the pressure comes from the client side in terms of their the internal reality of their business. They will do something that makes the agencies feel very under pressure. And then the agency starts to question the client, you know what I mean? Of can we trust them and all the rest of it? And then things start to get a bit sort of dangerous. But you've got to have that initial step of empathy as the agency and go, are you all right? Like, what is happening? What can we really do to help you? Like, what's happening to you personally? What is going on in this situation that you're worried about? Because, you know, we do have, as I say, we're more agile, we're smaller, there's less pressure in the day-to-day, I think, often with agencies. So I think that, but yes, it's a very long way of saying, essentially, it's all about that relationship and it's about that trust.
I agree. Again, it's the connection. I couldn't agree more. Something I used to do, I wrote years ago, I wrote this program for the IPA called Under the Skin, and it was all about what's really going on for clients. And it's that thing. Yeah, I talked to you about this. It's like, and I had that Pac-Man analogy, which is like, you think as agencies, we can often think that little bit we're focused on is their whole life. But there's so much going on for clients outside. And the bottom of every single slide in that presentation said, get them out to the office.
Yeah.
You cannot build a relationship in a meeting room. And the only way you're going to build that trust is to understand what's keeping them awake at night.
Yeah.
Find out as a person, not just the person with the budget, but as an actual person, what's going on for them. And then you create the relationship, then you get the openness and then they'll say to you, actually, this is what's really going on. One of the things I used to talk about is don't just focus on the numbers because often success might be something completely that you've missed. It might be about them embedding the brand into the business or proving their ROI in different ways. So it's
what does good actually look like?
Yeah, what does good actually look like? You only get that out of the office.
I was just going to say it's funny because earlier on in your career, I remember, always working through those lunch breaks and doing so much. And actually now I'm like, the most productive time is me taking or going out for lunch with somebody, also kind of understanding, connecting on a human level, understanding those drivers. But it is that actually clears and makes your life a lot easier in some respects. It's all the conversations that take place in the corridors, the soft touch pieces. But that's not what you get taught when you're going through the
it's
ranks.
not, is it? And it's weird that we kind of miss that, because in terms of sort of getting anything done at work, probably the thing that I've learned throughout my career consistently is find the people who are like-minded who also want to get it done, and then sort of 2 or 3 of you can get quite far. You know what I mean? It's not this big kind of organizations coming together in this orchestrated thing with this big process. It's actually about having that the relationships with just, because you can't have that level of relationship with everybody, but you can have your people, right? And then actually
this goes into slightly dangerous territory where you then only trust the people that are very similar to you, which is another area where I feel, and unfortunately, but that is the context. People want to feel that they can trust people. It's all about psychological safety. So then you go after the people that look and think like you, and then you have confirmation bias, and then you don't think about diversity of thinking. And so it's a really hard one to kind of balance, because you're absolutely right, trust is there, but how do you build trust in a way that you create a culture of safety where you allow other people to come in and challenge?
I mean, you can't have a kind of closed circle of trust in an organization. I totally agree. Like, as a leadership style, that can be very negative actually, but I think you can be really open-minded about who you trust. You know what I mean? It's like 100%. One of the great joys of work, and agencies aren't that good at this, but they've got a lot better at this than they used to be. One of the great joys of work is that you actually get to spend time with people who are not like you. And so being really aware of that and actually seeking out proper relationships with people that you wouldn't otherwise meet is important. I mean, in agencies, it's young people. It's like, I'm just about the oldest person there. I'm in my early 40s. You're just like, where does everybody go? Like, Jesus. But thanks. I think so. But compared to the rest of them, apparently not. But yeah, like the exposure that I get to younger people, it's fascinating. It fills me with total joy. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I totally agree with you. You have to sort of, essentially all you're looking for really is, we both want to get something done. And that's kind of all you need.
Yes, I was going to say, that like-mindedness you were talking about isn't the same personalities, because I am a whirlwind of big picture. I mean, I'm actually, my team will probably tell you I'm also can be a bit of a process junkie, but it bores the shit out of me. So I know I need people that are sort of behind me, who are sort of nailing me to the floor, and so I know I need that around me, but it doesn't bore me. I need that. I love that. I need that rigor.
I'm the same actually.
So it's the like-mindedness is like, let's just get on with this. And actually I need a bit of blue energy to question me and create the process and do all that stuff, but the like-mindedness is it's just like, right, let's get shit done. Boundaries, let's talk about boundaries, Sabah, because obviously the fast-paced world that you're in, saying no can be quite hard, but I know that you're very boundaried and you're very committed to some of the practices that keep you grounded and calm. Can you talk about your boundaryness?
Okay. Yeah, no, I can. Well, first of all, I think saying no is super important, especially if you're in a position of leadership.
Absolutely.
I think if you're in any kind of business context where you've got big, bold dreams, huge ambition, you're always operating in a scarcity, a resource scarcity mindset. So you're not going to have enough team, you're not going to have enough people, you're not going to have enough money, you're not going to have enough time. And so, great leadership is then, making choices and saying no, or sequencing, or leveraging partners to kind of help as well. So I think the bit that you were alluding to maybe was how do I personally also set those kind of boundaries. And I think, I carve up my time in a very, very intentional way. And especially if I know things are going to be kind of more stressful, or there's a lot more that's expected of me, I will be even more ruthless, I would say, about how I spend my time. So there's a number of different practices that I do. I double down on things that fill me up with joy on the one hand, which is what we talked about before. But I think one of the things that we've lost a little bit is, also taking the time out for, reflection, deep contemplation. And so we were talking about, my personal practice is I probably on a daily basis carve out time, probably an hour and a half for like prayer and meditation.
A week?
A day.
Fuck off. An hour and a half a day?
An hour and a half, of which 40
That's
minutes.
just an hour and a half a day.
I mean, this was not always what I used to do. This has been, obviously, probably for the last, over 12 months now.
Wow.
Every day. And
it's incredible. That is incredible.
Is literally just sitting with myself in silence. I'm not doing any chanting. I'm not doing any breath work. I'm just sitting with myself in silence, and it's been game changing.
What time of the day is this? Where are your children?
So the way it works as well is I'm not hard on myself. I find the time when I can. It's often in the evening.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's an interesting one. I think people talk about slowing down to speed up.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was guided with some of these practices, and I remember when they told me you need to do 40 minutes a day, I was like, you're having a laugh. I've got like 2 school drops. I'm doing a full-time job. I get up at 6. I finish work at this time. Like, where is the time that I committed to doing it? And I think, I was somebody who used to read a lot, and it was always very kind of brain focused in terms of, like trying to study things.
Yeah.
And I think actually the more you actually apply and practice and actually experience things, that's where the magic happens. So I would urge, if anyone's, like intrigued, just sit with yourself. And you have to, 10 minutes here and there is not good enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking I could do 10.
I know. Well,
right. So are you cross-legged in a right? What are you? Where are you doing this?
It's normally in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I never used to be able to cross my legs before. I was so stiff with also, sitting and always kind of fidgety. I now cross my legs, but I didn't before. And I think it's this point that, I used to think, you had to be like a Buddhist monk on a mountain to kind of reach this level of Zen. And it's not the case. Everybody has it in them. You just have to give yourself the time. Our natural states are actually very much connected with, the natural world, with whatever you want to call it. And actually, the more you get in touch with yourself, it's like you kind of unleash a superpower. Yeah. That's why all these super successful people, they're always meditating. They're always doing there's this kind of interesting,
So what's happening in your brain?
Yes, that's
during those 40 minutes?
Yes.
When you start initially, your mind is clouded with thoughts and feelings and to-do lists.
Yeah.
And then the more you do it, and the more you see those thoughts, and they pass like clouds in your head, and you get into a space where you're almost like an observer of your life, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's very peaceful. And this is my point. I think the world outside is mad, like it's absolutely crazy, and yet inside you can be absolutely peaceful. Like it's this is where I feel like we talked about strength isn't endurance, it's self-mastery.
Wow.
And you don't need to have studied or have gone on to some retreat to get there. You just take the steps to just get that quietness of the mind, contemplation, reflection. Different people have different ways of doing it. Grounding in nature, it could be just like quiet walks, but get in touch with yourself again.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying that. I have to say 40 minutes is a long time. My husband and I did this practice where you have to stare at each other for 15 minutes, and we got to 3.
Were you just laughing?
We got to 3 is a lot, and it was amazing. But 15, we were told to try and do it 15. I can't do 15.
Oh,
yeah.
It's so difficult.
Yeah.
Like I did. So I do 10 minutes of Pilates in the morning, which clearly doesn't do much at all. But
Well done, Zoe.
which is new. And
Don't
I feel
listen to
really proud of.
Zoe. Listen to Sabah.
But I used to do. So when I was probably about 30, and I'm still the same person. Like one of my friends sort of said to me, "Have you considered meditation? Like that might be a good thing for you," because my brain was like, rah, rah, rah. And so she took me to a yoga class, and I was like, "Great, after yoga, that'll be fine." Laid down and was like, "Yeah, I can totally do this," and just fell asleep.
Wow.
And it was almost as though you're either on or you're off.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know what that middle bit is, but I mean, it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because I really struggled with, I did breath work, I did mindfulness, I did lots of things.
Yeah.
I think you just, it's just stillness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
But you run, Zoe, don't you?
I do. Well, I do actually, because it's really interesting hearing you talk, because I think it is different. I think the running thing isn't what you're describing.
That's mindfulness.
Yeah, but it's something else, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it is something that actually it just does really, really good things for your nervous system and for your brain.
Yeah,
and it's
endorphins, all of
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
But can I
it's
say,
a reset.
It's not that you're just staying stuck and staying still. Like I double down. Like I took up boxing. I love running. That's why I love dancing. I love movement. I think actually boxing's better than therapy. But
Interesting.
So it isn't that you can't move. I just think it's about finding that time with yourself.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
We could talk for ages. This has been amazing, but I have to go to our last questions. We're out of time. There's a lot of stuff in here. 40 minutes. What's the one thing that you want to leave our audience with, Zoe?
What would be the one thing? I think I would probably, I don't know if I take this advice very well myself, but I'd go back to the sort of original question that you asked, which is around why is it like this? I think it is technology at the moment. And so I think we all do need to sort of collectively, first of all, think of it as something to manage, but also just give yourself a break from it. I think probably that's the best thing you can do for your physical and mental health is just come off the tech.
Yeah, take it off our kids. Why don't we take it off ourselves?
I mean, honestly, the fact that a screen, an iPad can keep a 3-year-old entertained for like 40 minutes or whatever, it's just unnatural. These things are, and my kid has screens, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think that like, I need to do it, and I think we all need to do it. I think that would be very good.
Good. Thank you, Sabah.
I think it's this point around don't forget to also ask for help. And also if you're struggling, help others. And I think this is the point around, I used to think it was a weakness to kind of ask for help, but I think it's this point around actually you know your boundaries. And also when you start reflecting onto other people's challenges and helping them, it doesn't put the emphasis on you. And this is the point that we're all connected, and actually we're not like independent creatures living in silos. So don't forget to ask for help. It's a sign of like strength, and help others if you're ever going through it.
Yeah, I love that. I love the thing of ask if somebody is twice. If you're not sure, ask and then ask again. Because often it won't be till the second time that they answer. Wow, that's been amazing. Honestly, I think we need to do this over wine at some point.
Totally.
Thank you so much, Sabah and Zoe. You've been wonderful.
Thank you.
Audience, thank you for listening or watching. And this has been Slow the Fuck Down.